Hey, fourth grade, let's take a quick break from the text and take a look at what the commentators have to say in this Comcast. You just texted the following in Pasuk Chat. Yosef tells the brothers not to worry about the fact that he was sold into Egypt. He says, look, it was all part of God's plan. Don't feel badly. In fact, and here we are in the second line of the Pasuk, Yosef tells the brothers that three incredible things happened to him since the time that he was sold into slavery. Vayisameni la'av lefaro. He tells the brothers that Hashem made me into an av to Pharaoh. We'll see what that means in a moment. Ula adon lechol beito, a master over his house. Umoshel b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, and a ruler over the whole land of Egypt. Well, what are these three roles that Yosef says that he enjoyed since he's been in Egypt? Seforno here, the Italian commentator, gives us a clue as to what Yosef meant. Starting with Av LeParo. Yosef was an advisor to Paro. Av doesn't mean father, but it means advisor. Like a father who is someone who can give you advice and who can help give you guidance, so too Yosef was the advisor to Paro, who gave him all kinds of incredible advice. Remember, of course, the great advice that Yosef gave to Pharaoh about storing all of the grain during the 7 years of plenty so that Egypt would have grain during the years of famine. So he was Paro's chief advisor. Not only that, he was also Adon L'chol Beito. He was the head of Paro's staff. Today, we might call this chief of staff. In government, the President of the United States has one, a chief of staff, who is in charge over all of the people who work at the White House, from the various secretaries to all of the people who actually provide security, to the people who do the cooking and the cleaning, all of the personnel, and I think there are several hundred of them who work in the White House. The chief of staff is in charge over all of them. And so Yosef was Paro's chief of staff. He was in control over all of the people who worked in the palace. But not only was he Paro's advisor, and not only was he chief of staff, he was also Moshel B'chol Eretz Mitzrayim. He was the executive over local affairs in Egypt. You know, every city has someone like this. In Dallas, there's a few different types of people who fill this role. There's the tax assessor. He's the person who's in charge over all of the taxes in the city. There's also a comptroller who's in charge over the city's finances. And in Egypt, I guess there was someone like that. It was Yosef who was in charge over all of the local affairs in the city. So Yosef tells the brothers, listen, don't worry. Even though I had a very sad start to my life in Egypt as a slave, I rose to prominence. I became an important person. I became an Av LeParo, an advisor to Paro. I became Adon L'chol Beito, the head of his staff. And not only that, I became Moshel B'chol Eretz Mitzrayim. I became the chief executive over local affairs. And so even though I had a pretty unfortunate beginning to my life in Egypt, things turned out okay thanks to Hashem's hand.